communication. So Adobe came to us. Sorry. Okay. They asked us to look at self-expression and communication in the U.S. and China from their perspective and to see how they can get into new markets. So we started off by talking to some people. We found that people in the U.S. are posting content online that's a filtered version of themselves. They're not lying, they're not posting anything unreal, they're just only posting what they want people to know. Things they find interesting, they want to document the positive. They're talking about their traveling, their adventures, posting photos of friends and family, talking about careers, things to spark a conversation. They really want people to think good and to really understand what kind of image they want to put forward, and they're using social media to be able to do that. In China, people are using it incredibly differently. They're using it to put up confessions, emotions, and they're kind of their digital media is allowing them to break social norms and talk about things that they can't do in the real world. They had things said like, we are allowed to joke on the first date online. They can talk about frustration and loneliness without having to worry about face-to-face communication afterwards. And to them, the internet is feeling less serious. So what you say online doesn't actually have any repercussions in the real world. And they also are using it mostly to get these comments to help them make unbiased decisions. So this was our core thing that we realized that the U.S. and China are really different in the real world and online. High context culture in China, what's happening in the real world is not being said, it's all implied, and just to understand it from their body and language. In the U.S., they're telling people, talking to friends, they're showing their emotions with their speech. Online, it's different. The U.S. is a very high context, kind of like feeling around, trying to let you know what they're doing. And China is actually just telling you exactly what they're doing. So from this, I came up with a couple ideas. Actually, we'll run you through two different stories of what it's like to use social media in China and what it's like to use social media in the U.S. So this is Yoon. She keeps an electronic diary. Her sister yells at her all the time for not writing enough, and she really doesn't have time to craft social media. So it starts out where she's worried about the first post. She's worried about being judged in the real world based on what she writes online. So it's kind of like this wall. But so she spends 2 hours and she crafts this really intense, really emotional blog about nostalgia she's having because she misses her family. It's a beautiful post. She gets tons of comments. All of her friends are giving her lots of feedback and support and telling her it'll be okay and telling her how much she may miss her and everything. She's feeling better about herself, so she kind of keeps posting and putting all this time in. But at some point, she becomes really busy, and spending 2 to 3 hours writing one blog post just isn't really going to happen. So she doesn't spend it. She spends maybe a half hour. It's not as insightful or as beautiful. She gets less feedback, so she kind of doesn't feel that motivated, that satisfied with her social media use. And she kind of falls off the end, and she ends up becoming what they call in China, which are readers, which are people that spend time reading people's blogs and writing, 1 or 2 line comments, but aren't actually creating any blogs on their own. So this is Rob in the U.S. He likes punk music. He once broke into his dorm so early that he was supposed to go to the auto show, and he really doesn't buy into social media. So in the U.S., there's kind of a thing we're going to call the first post issue. What do I post? How are people going to perceive this? What are they going to think of me when I post this? So it needs to be something that they're really passionate and excited about, otherwise you're probably not going to do it. And sometimes when you do it, it doesn't really matter anyway because nobody reads it or really cares or takes the time to give you feedback, because maybe it's just a link or something that doesn't really have any personal content to it. So he kind of falls off the edge. And so he kind of sees his friends are blogging, so I'm going to try this blog thing. So he posts his blog, but he doesn't want to be bragging or anything, so he's like, well, he doesn't want to broadcast it on his Facebook page or anything, so he just kind of says, and his blog goes unread completely and he never blogs again. And in the end, he'll probably just end up, posting Facebook updates once in a while, maybe some photos if you're lucky. So, kind of he's having this really big problem on Facebook and Twitter and everything. He's just like, this isn't working for me, no one's giving me any feedback, why am I wasting my time, who's reading this? And it's like this naval warfare, what kind of an image am I putting out there? What are people perceiving from what I'm doing online, not actually what am I putting online? And then people in China are kind of feeling more like they're doing a PhD, I have to invest hours and hours and hours of work to get anything satisfying out of this tool. what am I doing wrong? And they kind of get fed up and irritated with it, and they fall into these ruts where they're not actually enjoying their social media experience. So we put people onto this chart, whether how much time they're putting in and how satisfied they are with social media. Satisfied, we're judging it based on how often they're authoring content and getting feedback, which is making them feel self-actualized in how they're controlling their image, or whether or not they're getting feedback to help them solve problems that they're having. So we categorize these people into sections, and we kind of label them. So up in the top right corner, you've got people who are spending a ton of time and they're really satisfied. These are your extreme users, people who have optimized their social media use, but they're really investing their time and energy into it. Like, they really get it. They're blogging for hours, they're going down people's blogs and reading comments, and so that people come back to their blogs. Like, these are high intense users. Over here, we've got people who aren't so satisfied. People who are still putting in a lot of time, but they're kind of feeling unloved or confused with the content. Some of the Chinese people we're finding are disappointed, or they're intimidated by what's going on. They're either getting negative comments and feedback, issues like that. And then there are people who are just bored or busy, who really can't understand how people can spend all this time on social media in general. So we kind of came into a bunch of problems. Just tons of them. Reasons that Facebook and Twitter and Xiaoné and blogging aren't really satisfying people. Whether it's lack of comments and feedback, so they don't feel like anyone cares. This first post issue keeps coming up, like, is there a safe space? Like, will I get feedback? The huge time commitment to get anything positive to happen out of it. In China, blogging is like a competition. How do I get the most people to my blog? What do I post and on what site? There's so many different social media tools with different avenues and different social stratifications. And also there's this idea always of bragging. If I post this, if people want to read this, or am I just trying to self-promote myself? So Hetty's going to run you through the next part.
So basically what we want Adobe to do is come up with a way of giving people an experience such that using social media for this unloved, confused, and intimidated, and busy or bored person is actually more enjoyable.